Hello, and thanks for watching this channel. As always, thank you for subscribing and being part of the journey with me. Um, for those of you who don't recognize me, it is Hercules. It is Dr. Hercules. I've recently grown this beard, and it looks a little bit different from my Facebook pic. But I promise you, I look like that when this is not on here. I thought I was going for wisdom. I think I just ended up with age. But um, thank you for all the questions that are coming in about relationships and specifically about readyforloveagain.com. Um, I'm going to do a series of videos to try and answer some of those questions um, for you because there seems to be quite an interest in them. So here's the first one, and it's actually a group of questions that kind of are similar, the same thing. What do you do when you like someone who doesn't like you? Why? I think the other question was, why do I keep going for the sort of person that doesn't want me, and the people that do want me, I don't want them? Or how can you tell if somebody could be someone that I could be in a relationship with, but we're just friends at the moment, so it's really difficult to know where we stand, but I want to be able to escalate that, don't know how. So those questions kind of go together. And in fairness, they've been asked a lot over the years. Over my years as a therapist, as a coach, it's one of the most common questions that people have. But to answer it, there's two ways I could answer it for you. One is a very superficial way, which is not how I like to roll. And I know that a lot of you who are on the path with me definitely don't want that either. And a superficial answer would be something like, well, you one day you will meet the right person who comes along, and it'll just magically click and it'll all be great. And while there is some truth to that, it's not the sort of answer that a lot of you guys who are much more discerning are going to be satisfied with. So, to go to the deeper answer, we need to talk about. Um, I guess we need to step a step backwards. We need to go one step deeper to the core of who we are, and to remember that the person that is yearning for another person, who is that in us? Is it our deeper self, our true self, our authentic self that's yearning for that person? Or is it the person we think we are? So it's a fundamental personal development question, isn't it? It's more about, do we recognize where that's coming from? Because um, if it's coming from an emotional or a physical attraction to somebody, then that end of the spectrum is very superficial, right? And for most people, their motivation, which is really, or their intention, is really just action that's been infused by emotion, right? Um, and if that's where that attraction is coming from, then very often it might end up, you might end up being in a situation, probably will end up being in a situation where you're constantly attracted to the person who you think is going to take away the pain of what you're experiencing right now. And that's actually um, not, in my experience, the best reason to be in a relationship or the right kind of person um, to want for a relationship. Because even if you do find that person, what happens when your situation, where your emotional stuff changes, or when the physical stuff changes? What we often see is that there's not a lot left to sustain that relationship, and in fact, the same thing that we thought was saving us is now binding us and holding us captive, and a lot of us stay for guilt or whatever other reason. or a low opinion of our self-esteem and not thinking we can make it on our own, whatever it might be, we get trapped in those kinds of relationships. So the fundamental question that needs to be answered in figuring out why you always attract the wrong person, or why you're going after somebody who never seems to want you, is to ask yourself, where in me is that attraction coming from? Will it solve a physical problem? Will it solve an emotional problem? Will it solve an intellectual problem? Or is it going to fit spiritually? Is it going to fit me spiritually? So the greatest irony, and we all know this, but very few of us have the emotional reserves to do it, the greatest irony is that the less we look for a relationship, the more authentic we become, the more present to our true self we become, the more we do the work of the personal development to get to where we need to be in our life as an individual, the more our own light shines more brightly and is then more visible to the person who would love that. When we're busy trying to find somebody who's going to take away a pain emotionally or physically or in any other way that's not authentic, then our true light isn't shining. That's never, even a successful version of that is never going to be truly, truly, deeply, deeply satisfying long term. So, where is your yearning for that other person coming from? Is that person someone who you think is the right person? Is that person someone who you feel is the right person? Or is that person the right person? Because if we go even one level deeper, the truth is that on a spiritual level, we don't need people on a spiritual level, because spiritual journeys are individual, right? Companionship, etc., relationships, they're all things that are more relevant in this domain, in this physical, emotional, intellectual world we live in. The question is to be plugged into who we truly are, so that when we do go into a relationship with somebody and go through a journey in this life together, that journey is helping both people involved become more authentic, become stronger versions of who they truly are. And you have a case of two people who are walking side by side towards a goal together, making each other more powerful and helping each other shine more. That's so different from being in a relationship where you're yearning for somebody and you stagnate, and the whole thing is about checking whether they love you, whether they're really there for you, whether they really want to be with you, whether you're good enough for them, whether they're good enough for you, or whatever it might be. Okay? So if you think about two people going on a journey together, right, they're either going to stop and stagnate and just look at each other and constantly check about me, or they are two people who are independently strong, they are authentic, they know who they independently are, and they know that together they can get to a goal better. Whatever that goal might be. The goal might be to raise children. The goal might be to create something amazing in the world, which can also be children. But you know what I'm trying to say, because we don't tend to think of having a family as, the same thing as the cure for cancer or something. That's just the way our society is. But you know what I'm trying to say. Whatever that amazing goal is, whatever that fulfillment of your potential is, you want to make sure that the person you're with is going to help you fulfill that. That is what the longest, most successful relationships are always, always about. People that have been together 60 years or more, you ask them what the secret of their longevity is, and in one way or another, they'll basically say the same thing, and that is, this person gave me the space to become fully who I am, and how can I not love them for that and want to be with them for that? So there are just some thoughts. Please write in the comments below if you have, your own thoughts about it. I'd love to hear them. Um, you know, I don't have all the answers. I simply have, a lot of experience from what I've done in my life. But a lot of you are very switched on, very experienced people, and I've met some of you personally, and some of you I hope to meet soon. But please leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, because I'll be doing a lot of this in the near future, so you can be updated about when the next video comes online. In the meantime, thanks for spending this time with me. I'll see you next time.